feel like this is the exact same thing I was wearing for the last video that I filmed. And we're back. Hi friends. This is my first day back in my studio after leaving for a small contract. I also took 2 weeks to self-isolate because my studio is at my mom's house, so we gotta be safe. Feeling fresh, feeling motivated, feeling ready to film. To be honest, 2 weeks of doing nothing but sitting on the couch and watching Drag Race, I got bored. So I'm happy to be working on something again. I did a little futzing with the lighting and also the camera angle. I tried to get it as straight on as possible just because I feel like it looks a little bit more professional. And this way you also get to see a little bit more of my beautiful background. So let me know your thoughts. Also, I did already film something today and I'm not gonna tell you what the palette is because I wanna keep it a surprise, but the video coming out after this one is going to be a 2 looks, 1 palette. I would love to know your guesses as to what palette it's going to be, so leave that in the comments below. But today's video is going to be yet another entry into the brand compendium. Or is it this way? The brand compendium. I think by the time this comes out, the first 2 in this series will already have gone up. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun making them just because they're really casual to film. I enjoy just sitting with you guys with a cup of coffee and my notebook and just having a little chat. It's fun. So today's video for the brand compendium series, we are going to be moving on to brands that do not interest me. Not necessarily brands that I don't want to support with my money, which is something I've already done on this channel. I will link that up here, but just brands that, I don't know, are boring. The ones that really don't draw me in at all. The ones that you gloss over at Sephora. A lot of brands on this list are ones that at one point or another were kind of a big deal, and that have somehow just sort of fallen off the radar in recent years. And we're gonna hop into it right now. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please keep on watching and let's get started. Just a side note, I missed you guys so much. It's so nice to be back talking with you again. When I talk to the camera, I now kind of just imagine all of you, the ones that comment and we chat. I just kind of imagine that I'm talking to you guys. So thanks for being here. I have my notes. Again, want to reiterate that these are not brands that I'm against in any sort of way. Just because they are boring does not mean that they are controversial. With that, let's dive right in. First up on the list of brands that don't interest me is Geek Cosmetics. I feel like this is one of the very first influencer brands to really pave the way for other influencer-led brands. Marlena really is a trailblazer for this part of the industry. I actually didn't even know she was a YouTuber when I first started getting into makeup YouTube. Nowadays, she's probably more well known for her brand than she is for her content. I don't know if she was the first influencer brand out there, but she definitely is one of the earliest. So I feel like old Makeup Geek was definitely most known for their single shadows. I bought a couple back in the day, thought they were great, really liked the shimmers. I had a duochrome. The problem is with single shadows is that when they're tucked away in their own little palette, I never reach for them. For some reason, I don't think about them. I'm usually a person who will reach for a palette first. I've talked about this before a lot on my channel where I actually prefer having those parameters to work within. So single shadows have never been my cup of tea, but I had to try the formula and they're nice. They were lovely. Makeup Geek has since done a huge rebranding. I can't remember when it was. It was like last year or the year before where they relaunched. They started with this huge encyclopedia of brand new single shadows. I remember a bunch of influencers hauling out these huge PR kits where all the single shadows came in, I think it was 2 different palettes, 2 different big books. They were honking huge. It made a big splash. Everyone was talking about it because Makeup Geek is so well known. And I remember looking at them and initially thinking all that eyeshadow could be super useful, especially if you're a freelance makeup artist. It spans a nice wide range. And if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like there was a system involved with these single shadows. I could not tell you how that system works. Part of me did want to just buy the entire collection because when they're all put together like that, you can really see just how much variance there is and just how many options you have. But I kept watching people reviewing these shadows, and the more I looked at these shades, the more I realized just how boring these colors were. They're all kind of muted in a way. Even like the colorful ones, they're just kind of dull. I'm sure for the average human being, that's perfectly great because it means that you can rock some color in your eyeshadow without looking like a total clown. Here's the thing though, I'm like genetically part clown. So for me personally, these shades would kind of be lost on me. Like in order for a neutrals palette to really wow me, it has to be special. I just feel like with these shadows, as utilitarian as they appear to be, for a makeup enthusiast or a makeup lover who has a very large collection already, I feel like these shadows just would not be worth it for me personally. I feel like if they took more risks with their colors, I would definitely be a little bit more interested. Now for something completely different. Next brand on the list is Glam Light. I know I literally just said that like I need a brand to step outside the box just a little bit more for me to have any sort of interest. However, there's something so off-putting about Glam Light's branding. I think the first thing I ever saw from them was the burger palette or the taco palette. And there's something about savory food themed makeup that kind of makes me feel a little bit nauseous thinking about it. There's something so like gross. There's something really gross about thinking about just the color scheme of a burger laid out in a palette. You know, colors that represent condiments, colors that represent vegetables, colors that represent meat. It's just, I don't know, it's not appealing to me in any sort of way. They have since gone on to do things like the ice cream dream palette and the cake palette, you know, things that are a little bit more visually appealing than just a burger or a slice of pizza. I just can't get over the ham-fisted way they're shoving the food theme down our metaphorical throats. I've heard really nice things about their eyeshadow formula, but like if I'm gonna get a rainbow palette, I'm not gonna get one that looks like a literal palette. Like there's an eyeshadow palette, it's called the Paint Pro palette. It literally looks like a painter's palette. It's kitschy in a bad way. Anyway, Glam Light has never been appealing to me, and I don't think I would ever get anything from them, which is really sad because like they seem really nice and like they're a really good brand with good quality products, but I cannot get past their branding. I feel like I'm getting whiplash with how different these brands are. But next up on the list is Huda Beauty. Now the thing about Huda and some of the other brands on this list is that I actually do own products from Huda. You know when a brand has like an outlying product that really grabs you and so you pick it up and you wouldn't necessarily buy anything else from them, but this one thing really works for you. I'm loving their Tantour cream bronzer. I think the formula is really great. The consistency is nice and it blends really well without it being too oily or greasy. But the thing for me about Huda is I feel like there are other brands who do things that are very similar to them for a much lower price point. There's only so many times that you can repackage and resell a warm neutrals palette to me before I tune out. You know, they're known for the rose gold palette and more elevated neutral palettes like that kind of put them on the map. And I feel like at the time that was very innovative, but I don't feel like that was anything more interesting than say the Modern Renaissance palette. In Canada, one of their 18 pan eyeshadow palettes will set you back $85. That is getting up there. Even though you're getting 18 eyeshadows, can they truly claim that it is worth that price point? Like when I first discovered them, my interest was definitely piqued, but I feel like now the only thing that I would even consider purchasing from them would probably be the Mercury Retrograde eyeshadow palette. I mean, that one's pretty cool. This palette actually kind of stepped outside of what they normally do. That definitely did interest me, but again, for $85, I feel like I don't need it that bad. I feel like they also hop on bandwagons a lot. Like, you know, Beauty Bakery was making a name for itself and suddenly Huda was doing these setting powders that were cake themed. Also, I feel like their 9-pan little mini obsession palettes are absolutely not worth $37 Canadian when you could go to ColourPop and get a 9-pan monochromatic eyeshadow palette for like $14. And then everything else here is very like Instagram beauty focused. The whole brand was kind of born out of Huda Beauty being this big Instagram presence. And so the brand does cater very specifically to the Instagram beauty market, which is incredibly full coverage foundation, tons of contour, highlighting, layers on layers on layers of makeup. It's become the sort of westernized standard for Instagram makeup. And she's absolutely capitalized on that and very successfully so. For me, that's not exactly my style. And so personally, I just don't gravitate toward her formulas for like face products. works. All right, moving on. Let's talk about a category within this category, which is luxury brands, specifically the designer houses. The Givenchy, Lancome, YSL, Dior, Gucci. Like, there is nothing in this world more frustrating than watching people waste their money on luxury makeup that is in no way special for any reason. I feel like Marc Jacobs is the outlier. I feel like Marc Jacobs puts a lot more thought into the formulas that they create as opposed to someone like Dior, who releases the same eyeshadow quad every year and calls it something new. And I feel like people are getting wise to that now, more so than they were like 10 years ago. I feel like even like 10, 20 years ago, it was more about the experience of, you know, going to a bougie department store and walking up to the YSL makeup counter and having one of the girls like demonstrate this new lipstick shade to you. I feel like that was an experience that people wanted. There's something to be said for that. I feel like that is a part of the business in makeup. People want to be pampered. They want to have that luxurious experience of purchasing something that is completely frivolous, but makes them feel good. I'm not saying that it's a completely worthless practice. I'm just saying that, like, for the money that you're going to spend on these brands, it has to be worth it. So not to say that they can't come up with really good formulas that are worth that price point. I just feel like more often than not, probably 85% of the time, you are buying that makeup for the clout. You're buying it for the name. You're buying it so you can put it on your vanity and feel important. If that makes you feel good and if that's what makes you happy, who am I to stop you? I don't know. I want to know what you guys think of like luxury designer makeup brands. Where do you lie on whether or not they are worth spending all that money for? Or do you think that they're just taking advantage of the fact that because it's a designer brand, people will buy it regardless? Speaking of luxury makeup brands that are overpriced, let's talk about Charlotte Tilbury. I've been watching a lot of Teresa's Dead, and every time she says Charlotte Tilbury, cracks me up. Oh my god. I feel like this is the makeup brand that has really just duped everyone. It's really funny to see people just going absolutely apeshit over Charlotte Tilbury makeup, and yet whenever I see someone use Charlotte Tilbury, I just am so underwhelmed. And I don't know if anyone else sees it, but it's just mind-boggling, like, to the power of branding. She's serving a very specific community of makeup people, ones that want to feel the fantasy of glamour. However, I don't know how they've managed to stay in business with just how unbelievably dull everything is. They do have a couple of cult classic products like the Hollywood Flawless Filter and of course Pillow Talk. When you think of Charlotte Tilbury, you immediately think of Pillow Talk. It's like the most universally known nude lipstick, I think, in the world. But beyond that, I mean, like, I feel like they're not even trying because they don't have to. They don't have to. They probably make enough money on their core products alone that they can just coast. Have you seen this instant eye palette? Have you seen it? It's boring. This is silly. 12 eyeshadows for $95. Nobody's eyeshadow is that good. I think on that note, I should just hop over to Natasha Denona. Not to say that whenever I see a Natasha Denona palette, I do get a little bit of a case of the eye wants. Like, I get it. Like, her eyeshadow formula apparently is second to none. But $130 for 15 shades? I can't. They look beautiful. Do not get me wrong. I really love how consistent they are with their branding, with their packaging. And I even really like some of these color schemes. I just feel like it's very straightforward and very appealing to me. I'm not paying $240 for 28 eyeshadows. Not unless they do something incredible with a color scheme would I even consider it. Next up on the list is Dominique Cosmetics. Not for any particular reason. I feel like I look at their palettes every time I'm in Sephora and I think, oh, that looks nice. Like, maybe I should try that. But again, it's just a case of not being interesting enough to warrant me spending $60 on your eyeshadow palette. There's nothing going on there that I don't already have in my collection. And as much as I've heard the formula raved about, I think I'm just gonna hold off until they do something outside of the box and really interesting. The one thing that I have in my wish list at Sephora that I keep humming and hawing over is the Ultra Hydrating Fine Mist. That mist looks absolutely divine, but not $43 divine. Next up on the list is Kylie Cosmetics, purely for the fact that I feel like this whole brand is just one big cash grab. Kylie, I feel like obviously does not care at all about what she produces. I feel like she jumped in at a time when I feel like the masses were just starting to get into makeup, and she kind of just jumped on this trend and ran with it. I just feel like there's nothing from Kylie Cosmetics that looks like there was any thought or care or attention put into it. It's all incredibly samey and kind of just all looks like really overpriced ColourPop. I remember seeing a couple of her 9 pans and thinking like, okay, like I could definitely fuck with that. But for $42, I'm not buying a 9-pan eyeshadow palette that is of questionable quality. I mean, hearing about the inconsistencies in her formulas just makes me think that she probably doesn't have much of a hand in what is going into her products. Let's talk about Smashbox. I think maybe 5-6 years ago, I would have really enjoyed getting more into Smashbox, but I feel like the longer I'm doing this, the less interested I am in these top Sephora brands. You know, the ones that are higher end, but they haven't really done anything new or exciting in like maybe three or 4 years. Smashbox is one of those that I feel like they haven't released anything in a really long time. And maybe they have, but no one cares. I think they're best known for their primers, probably. Like their primer formulas are the ones that I think people still talk about even to this day. The Photo Finish Primer Water. I was a huge fan of that when I first started out just because it did everything I needed it to do. I've since moved on to things that work better. And they have these little like photo edit eyeshadow trios that are in this one little compact. And I feel like that is just such a move that like L'Oreal or Maybelline would pull. You know what I mean? So if your product at a high-end price point reminds me of a drugstore product, I think we have a problem. Also, if you've ever tried their metallic liquid lip formula, you know that it is absolutely horrendous. I remember I picked one up for a show once because they had this like really bright fuchsia pink, like glittery metallic lipstick. And I was like, oh, this would be perfect for the character I'm playing. I couldn't even get through the tube because it was so dry. Way too expensive for it to be that bad. But yeah, I don't know. I like Smashbox. I wish that they would be more interesting. I'm interested to see what the future holds for them. Seeing as the next brand I'm about to talk about has definitely faced some consequences for not being as innovative as they could have been. And that is Becca. If you haven't heard by now, Becca is shuttering its doors. They've decided to close their brand at the end of this year. And I feel like because they have been such a presence in the makeup community for so long, people are a little heartbroken about this. However, I just could not bring myself to pick anything up from them because it's really hard to blow a bunch of money on like a champagne highlighter. They're obviously known best, I think, for their pressed highlighters. Champagne Pop put them on the map with Jaclyn Hill, but their highlighters, as good as they are $46. I feel like there's a pattern here with all of the brands on this list. It's just like boring makeup at really high prices. You know, I think 5 years ago, that was something that people were totally willing to buy into, but at this point, I feel like there's so many cool new things happening out there that this will just go by the wayside. And I feel like that is what led to their downfall, is that they weren't willing to do anything new or get with the times. Now they're closing, and I totally see why. I do hope to purchase a couple of these highlighters for myself before they're gone for good, because some of them look really, really beautiful. Prismatic Amethyst sounds really cool. It's got this like kind of lavender hue to it. And of course, like their formula is so well known, but they've got to get past, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. Otherwise you're going to go under. You can't just sit there and tread water in Sephora for 5 years and expect to stay out of trouble. It is sad. I don't wish ill on any of these companies per se, but I just feel like that Becca closing is definitely a warning shot to all of the other mainstays in Sephora. I feel like they, you know, should be taking note. In the same vein, let's talk about IT Cosmetics. I know this is completely arbitrary and totally subjective, but there's just something about the founder, Jamie, that is just gives me the no feeling. I don't know why. I just don't like her. Like she gives me Karen vibes. That's not to say that she is. I'm sure she's lovely. I think they're best known for their CC cream. It's the thing that I've tried from them and I did like. I actually really like their CC cream. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like their shade range is still kind of on the small side. I feel like they could stand to expand it a little bit more. Oh, even on sale, it's like $40. I don't know. Foundations are expensive in general, especially higher end ones. I mean, I'm staring at two right now in my kit that are both at least $60, I think. So it's not like I'm not going to spend money on a foundation. Like, I will spring for a foundation if it is that good. The Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation is that good. But the IT Cosmetics CC Cream, it just doesn't grab me in the same way. Sorry, mom's home. You're gonna hear some noises back there. They have this Confidence collection and the Bye Bye collection, which is, you know, the Bye Bye Under Eye, Bye Bye Redness. I feel like their brand is a lot about combating imperfections, which I feel like is a little bit problematic in and of itself, being like, we need to fix you, which does kind of put me off a little bit. I feel like makeup has moved past just hiding imperfections and has kind of evolved into more of a tool for self-expression rather than just trying to fix what's wrong with you, when ultimately there is nothing wrong with you. You're a human being and human beings are flawed. Last two on the list, let's talk about them real quick. The next brand I want to talk about is Jouer. And I almost didn't put them on the list here because I literally could not tell you what their bestseller is. I don't know anything about them. I feel like every time I see something from them, it just kind of slides off my brain and into the garbage can of my mind. I don't know, like water off a duck's back. It's just like someone's using something from Jouer online and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really pretty. And it just slides off, disappears into the ether of my mind. And I honestly could not tell you what they're known for. I feel like that is a really strange thing. It's almost like this anomaly. Let's see, let's look at their bestsellers on their website. Essential High Coverage Concealer Pen. Never heard of it. Creme Eyeshadow Crayon. Never heard of it. I've heard of their foundation. I've heard good things about their foundation. I think it's a full coverage one. I think Nikki Tutorials was kind of on it for a long time. But like, what else is there to talk about? There's really nothing here that is interesting. Yeah, no, sorry, Jouer. I really don't know what to say about you. All right, the last brand on this list. I wonder if you can guess it. I'm gonna let you take a guess. But the last brand that holds absolutely zero interest for me in any sort of way is Urban Decay. Again, nothing wrong with Urban Decay. I could not tell you anything bad about them. They are the prime suspect for lack of innovation. I feel like they got stuck in this rut of the naked palettes. It was the thing that they launched that made everyone's brains explode, because at the time it was something they'd never seen before and they went, oh my gosh, the naked palettes. Like, they were so coveted, and because they were so successful, I think they just kept doing it. And now it's become kind of a joke. We've all seen the newest one, right? The naked Wild West palette. I can't remember what Teresa's dad called it, but it was something like the Divorcee palette. And I feel like, yes, this is exactly what that is. If you cover up the two blue shades, this is just every other naked palette. I don't know how they get away with this. How many naked palettes can you launch before people start asking questions? I feel like people started asking questions like 4 naked palettes ago, and you still have yet to take any sort of constructive criticism about that. Of course, they're known for their all-nighter setting spray. I feel like it was one of the first setting sprays on the market that made you feel like you needed a setting spray. I still use all-nighter. It's one of those things that when I'm running low on and I can't find any others, I'll pick one up because it works. And I feel like they do other things really well. I like their glitter liner formula. It's very specific, but when you need it, you need a good one. It seems so strange to me that they won't step out of their comfort zone like even an inch. I would love to see Urban Decay do something that's not naked. I mean, I know they tried it with like the Stone Vibes palette. That was not it. I also feel like they have done, you know, the Brights palettes. I can't remember what it was called. I will put a picture up here, but at the time it was very groundbreaking. So I feel like actually they kind of peaked a little early. And because so many other people are doing way more interesting and innovative things now, I feel like some of these bigger brands are just kind of fumbling for some sort of purchase. I'm really interested to see like what the market's gonna look like once people have disposable income again. And if people are gonna go back to their tried and true favorites at Sephora and Ulta, or if they're gonna venture out and try all of the new things available to them in the indie market. As is, you know, evident with this entire series, there's no end. There is no end to the new and exciting brands that are popping up everywhere. And, you know, thanks to the internet, and thanks to e-commerce, we're able to branch out and be a bit more adventurous. I guess we'll see, hey? I wonder if there's gonna be more casualties. I feel like maybe Becca might just be the first of many. That is it for this video. I would love to know what you think. If you agree with me on these or if you disagree, please let me know your thoughts down below, especially with this series. I love some healthy discourse. I actually really love to know, like, if you think I'm completely off base. If you are incensed by the fact that I just called your favorite brand boring, please tell me why I'm wrong. I would love to hear your thoughts. This is the first time I've filmed in weeks, and my throat's feeling it, so I'm gonna head out. But I do hope you guys enjoy this series. I have one more video in this series that will be coming up, but before that video we will take a break and do this 2 looks 1 palette, which I'm in the middle of right now. Please let me know your guesses as to what palette is on my face down below. You get no prize for being right, just you get to be right. All right, with that, I think I'm just going to leave it there and rattle off the spiel to you. Here are the many ways you can help out my channel. You can give this video a huge thumbs up. You can comment down below what you thought of everything. You can subscribe. Any and all engagement with my videos is super crucial for the algorithm, for my success as a small creator. So if you have a few spare seconds of your life, please engage with this video. You can follow me on other social media. I will leave those right there. Also, for the 3rd year in a row, I have applied for the Sephora Squad. Yes, I will leave the link down below to leave me a testimonial. The testimonials are kind of a huge part in the success of an application, and I think the more the better. So if you have not yet, please go leave me a testimonial if you feel like I would be a good candidate for Sephora Squad. Also, if you feel like supporting me financially as an artist, please go check out my Patreon. The link is down below. Also, I have left petitions in the description box for you to sign, places to donate to the AAPI community. All right, folks, with that, please stay safe, stay sane, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay home if you can. Just keep doing your best, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.